Welcome back, troglodytes, to Would You Rock or Not? Today we're gonna take a trip back to the Acoustic Room to see what crazy guitar we can find today. If you're not familiar with this Reverb and eBay seller, you've got to check out their inventory because they have some of the highest end guitars that you'll ever see. Most of them cross people's boundaries between gaudy and beautiful, but sometimes there's certain ones that speak to me, and this is one of them. Yes, this time it is an acoustic guitar that caught my eye. However, there's one huge glaring flaw about this guitar that really kind of turns me off from it, but everything else is so perfect. More on that in a little bit. The base model for this guitar is the SJ-200. Which in and of itself is a pretty high-end Gibson acoustic guitar. But for this one, they gave it the whole mother-of-pearl abalone inlay around the binding. They did the fancy vine work on the neck as well as on the pickguard, even on the bridge itself. And if that wasn't enough, you've also got that around the sound hole too. So it is a very fancy guitar in that aspect. However, besides all the fancy inlay work, the top of this guitar is fairly plain. It is just your average Sitka spruce top. There's not a lot of wood grain or figuring going on with it as far as flame or quilting action, but the back is completely different. We've got some serious quilting action back here. Quilt maple can be kind of a touchy subject for some people. A lot of people hate quilting when it's over the top and extreme. They kind of say, oh, that's for PRS or something. But I find when quilt looks more like a really wide flame, that's when more people get excited. So in my opinion, this has the perfect amount of quilt to it, because it's kind of somewhere between a flame and the quilting. And paired with that beautiful figuring, once again, is more abalone mother-of-pearl inlay surrounding the guitar, as well as the back stripe. The sides of the instrument are also maple and have a very similar figuring to the wood. I mean, this guitar is just so beautiful in the back. I just love the look of this. The seller unfortunately doesn't have any really good close-up photos of the neck, but it appears it is a 3-piece neck. It'll be 2 parts maple and that center strip is usually walnut, but who knows in this case. But it looks like it has some decent figuring to it as well, and more of a flame pattern. But here is the most beautiful part of this guitar. It's a nice cranberry maple veneered Gibson headstock. Typically they use a black holly veneer or something very similar and not maple, so that adds some light quilting action to the face of the headstock as well. They used an old style Gibson logo. You can find these on like the Les Paul Artisan. It's the pre-war Gibson logo. But I am in love with these inlays for the symmetry that they provide. I mean, look right up here in these top corner inlays. You've got the binding, then you've got the maple veneer, and then you've got that inlay. You've got 3 perfect corners. And then everything is perfectly symmetrical, well, except for the Gibson logo. It just has such beautiful symmetry that it's really easy to look at. Sometimes these guitars are a little bit too over the top, but this time I think Gibson nailed it. But now for that one glaring flaw that just ruins the whole guitar for me, unfortunately. From this angle. You're likely saying, hey, that looks pretty good. It's got a nice, almost Ferrari red going on with it, with all the inlays and whatnot. But now take a look at it with the headstock also in the shot. The Sitka spruce top makes that same colored finish appear lighter on the front, whereas the maple veneer on the headstock makes it appear darker. To me, this is a huge no-no. I don't like that. To me, seeing as the whole entire rest of this guitar is red, I want there to be perfect symmetry between those colors as well. And there's just not. Another example of when different woods are used and it kind of changes the whole vibe of the guitar is the blue Futuras that they did on the Les Pauls and SGs. On the mahogany body, it almost appears kind of a dark green color, but then you get to the neck and it's this aqua blue. So that's kind of the same phenomenon that's going on right here. So in order to have fixed this, they would have either had to do a flamed maple top, or quilted in this case, or did a spruce veneer on the face of the headstock. I would hate to see anything happen to this beautiful headstock, so I would probably go with the quilted maple on the front option. However, in doing that, you run the risk of just making this guitar too far over the top. So let me know which option you would go with, or would you just stick with it as is, because hey, the face of the headstock is usually a different color than the rest of the guitar anyways. So it's an insanely beautiful guitar. It can be yours for $7,500, but let's go ahead and hear how another J-200 sounds. The only question left, would you rock this highly ornate Gibson or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with a friend who would enjoy it, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.